The Young and the Restless spoilers a surprising twist in Genoa City. Daniel's dark plan and Sharon's unraveling mind in a town where shocking secrets and hidden agendas are part of daily life. Few developments have rocked Genoa City quite like Daniel's sudden turn toward vengeance. His anger is directed at Sharon, who recently walked free from any official blame in the presumed death of Heather. To Daniel, this outcome is a grave injustice. He cannot accept the court's decision, nor can he reconcile how someone he deems responsible could slip through the cracks of the legal system. In his mind, justice has failed, and so he's decided to deliver it himself. Daniel's descent into obsession. Daniel's transformation is as unexpected as it is dangerous. Known to be methodical and passionate, he has channeled all of his grief, rage, and desperation into a chilling objective: kidnap Sharon and make her atone for what he believes she has done. Friends and loved ones are alarmed by the single-minded fervor Daniel now exhibits. Once a person who sought resolutions through dialogue or the law, he has turned to a path of brutal retribution. His sleepless nights are filled with plans, detailed, grim scenarios in which Sharon would face, in his view, the torment she deserves. Daniel rationalizes these thoughts by telling himself that the legal system has failed him. If the authorities refuse to prosecute Sharon, then he will become judge, jury, and, if necessary, executioner. The writer's misdirection: it's not Ian, it's Daniel. Rumors initially pointed to Ian Ward as the next predator lurking in the shadows, set to abduct Sharon. Given Ian's track record of manipulation and violence, the assumption was logical. But in a dramatic twist, it is Daniel who has emerged as the real threat. Audiences are stunned. The tension that once surrounded Ian Ward's presumed involvement now shifts squarely onto Daniel's shoulders. This shift not only heightens the drama but also showcases the depth of Daniel's turmoil. In his mind, Sharon must pay for Heather's fate, despite the fact that Heather was later revealed to be alive, hidden away by Ian Ward. Daniel's pain and confusion over these tangled events push him to an extreme he might once have viewed with horror. Sharon's fragile reality. Amid this brewing storm, Sharon teeters on the edge of a mental breakdown. Diagnosed with a severe psychiatric disorder, she experiences frequent hallucinations and delusions. Her already fragile grip on reality has worsened under the weight of suspicion and the ceaseless scrutiny she faces in Genoa City. Hallucinations and nightmares. Sharon's nights are haunted by visions she cannot escape. She hears voices condemning her for crimes she may or may not have committed. She awakens drenched in sweat, convinced that the walls are closing in or that someone, maybe Ian, maybe Daniel, is standing over her, ready to strike. Guilt and confusion. She genuinely grapples with understanding her own culpability. Did she truly intend to harm Heather, as Daniel insists? Or did a moment of temporary psychosis twist her thoughts into something she cannot entirely control? Even she isn't certain. The more she tries to recall those crucial hours, the more the memories slip through her fingers, replaced by harrowing visions that blur reality. Isolation and fear. Most of Genoa City's residents, uncertain of Sharon's involvement in Heather's near-death, keep her at arm's length. She feels the sting of whispered rumors and sees doors literally and figuratively shut in her face. Every day is a new battle, coping with the possibility that her own mind is against her, that old friends are turning away, and that the menacing figures from her past, Ian Ward, Daniel, could at any moment exact their own brand of revenge. Why is Sharon the target? Those sympathetic to Sharon ask, what did she really do wrong? After all, the courts dismissed the charges, citing insufficient evidence. But Daniel sees it differently. Heather's ordeal. In Daniel's eyes, Sharon not only despised Heather but also had a concrete plan to eliminate her. He's convinced she once tried to poison Heather and threatened to harm Daniel's own family in the process. Even though the court saw no conclusive proof, Daniel firmly believes the evidence is out there, buried beneath layers of cover-ups and conflicting testimonies. Moral fury. Daniel's rage isn't merely about legalities, it's profoundly personal. He trusted Heather and cherished her, and the idea that Sharon walked away unscathed ignites a moral outrage he can't contain. Whether or not Sharon's mental illness played a role matters little to him now. He is intent on holding her accountable. Misplaced blame or justified vendetta? It remains unclear whether Daniel's obsession has blinded him to new developments. With proof emerging that Heather was alive, held captive by Ian Ward, Sharon's direct responsibility in Heather's disappearance is less certain. However, Daniel can't let go of his convictions. To him, Sharon's intent was as damning as the act itself. The looming abduction, Daniel's next move. Genoa City buzzes with uneasy speculation about how far Daniel is willing to go. Kidnapping Sharon is step one, but what does he plan to do once he has her under his control? A makeshift prison like Ian Ward's hidden cellar, Daniel may have a secret spot already prepared. Rumors swirl that he's rented an abandoned property on the outskirts of town. Others believe he's working with an accomplice, though no clear evidence supports this. One thing is certain, Daniel's thoroughness ensures a captive Sharon would be impossible to find unless he wants her found. Punishment or confession? Daniel craves a confession from Sharon. He wants her to admit her role in Heather's suffering, to confirm that his suspicions are valid. Some fear that once he has Sharon at his mercy, he won't stop at mere intimidation. The question lingers, is Daniel truly prepared to cross the line into violence? A final sacrifice. Daniel has repeatedly declared he's willing to sacrifice his own life in this pursuit of justice. The notion that he might orchestrate a murder-suicide or place himself in a situation with no escape has alarmed those closest to him. His singular focus leaves no room for self-preservation. If avenging Heather means destroying himself and Sharon in the process, he appears ready to pay that price. Sympathy for Sharon. Though Sharon's past is checkered by questionable decisions and intense relationships, many argue she doesn't deserve this fate, especially given her severe mental health struggles. If Sharon truly has a psychiatric disorder, accountability becomes more complicated. Her capacity to form rational intent is in doubt, and the law traditionally extends leniency to those unable to distinguish right from wrong due to mental illness. The legal gray area. Because Sharon was exonerated, the justice system has essentially ruled that there wasn't enough evidence to convict her, or that her mental state made it impossible to ascribe full criminal intent. Public perception. Some believe that Sharon has manipulated the situation to her advantage, while others see her as a genuine victim of her own mind, undeserving of Daniel's vigilante wrath. Potential for recovery. With the right medical intervention, therapy, medication, and possibly inpatient care, Sharon might reclaim some semblance of normalcy. But a kidnapping by Daniel could easily push her over the edge, erasing any chance of rebuilding her life. The stage is set for turmoil as the dust settles on Ian Ward's unexpected reappearance and Heather's shocking survival, and new danger threatens to overshadow them both. Daniel's plan to abduct Sharon is poised to unleash a torrent of fear and uncertainty. Those who thought Ian Ward would be the biggest menace are now fixated on Daniel. Meanwhile, Sharon's tenuous grasp on reality may finally snap under the pressure of Daniel's looming threat. Will anyone step in to save Sharon from Daniel's vengeance? Can Daniel be reasoned with, or has his thirst for retribution become an unstoppable force? Is Sharon truly a victim of her own mind, or is she more culpable than the world realizes? In the ever-twisting drama of Genoa City, these questions hang in the air like storm clouds gathering on the horizon. One thing is certain, no one will emerge unscathed when Daniel's dark plan collides with Sharon's fragile psyche. The fallout promises to be more explosive than anything the town has witnessed before. The clock is ticking, and the next chapter in this saga could reshape alliances, destroy lives, and leave a permanent mark on the young and the restless. The truth revealed, Daniel and Lucy's blind hatred, Sharon's innocence, and the real culprits. Genoa City has been rocked by yet another revelation, one that shatters everything Daniel and Lucy have been fighting for. The police have confirmed, without a shadow of a doubt, that Sharon is not the murderer. The real perpetrators behind Heather's suffering were Jordan and Ian Ward, the masterminds who staged an elaborate crime scene to manipulate everyone, including Sharon herself. But Daniel and Lucy have let their rage consume them, clouding their judgment beyond reason. Even in the face of undeniable truth, they refuse to accept it. Their hatred for Sharon has taken on a life of its own, pushing them into a state of dangerous obsession. They no longer see reality for what it is. To them, the facts don't matter, only their thirst for vengeance. The shocking revelation: Sharon was set up for weeks. The people of Genoa City were led to believe that Sharon was guilty, or at the very least, heavily involved in Heather's presumed death. She was found at the crime scene, disoriented and with no memory of what had happened. The evidence against her was circumstantial but compelling enough to cast doubt on her innocence. However, after an exhaustive investigation, the police finally uncovered the truth: Heather was never actually killed by Sharon. She was kidnapped by Ian Ward and Jordan, who manipulated the entire situation. A staged crime scene was set up to frame Sharon, making her the perfect scapegoat while they continued their twisted agenda in secret. Sharon's memory loss wasn't a convenient excuse, it was the result of being drugged or traumatized beyond recognition. She, too, was a victim that night. Lucy and Daniel had been deceived. Their entire mission to punish Sharon was based on a lie. This truth should have set Sharon free, not just in the eyes of the law but in the minds of those who sought vengeance against her. But for Daniel and Lucy, the damage had already been done. Daniel's refusal to accept the truth: for Daniel, this revelation is not just shocking, it's unbearable. After dedicating himself entirely to the belief that Sharon was responsible for Heather's fate, he now faces an impossible choice: accept that he was wrong or continue down the path of destruction he's already started. But Daniel isn't ready to let go of his vendetta. His hatred for Sharon has burned too intensely for too long. Even knowing she didn't physically commit the crime, he clings to the idea that she wanted to. That she thought about it. That she could have done it. She's not innocent, Daniel insists. She wanted Heather dead. That has to count for something. It doesn't matter that Sharon never followed through on her darkest impulses. To Daniel, the fact that she even considered it is reason enough to hold her accountable. His mind is already made up. But the truth is staring him in the face: if he wants revenge, he should go after Ian and Jordan, not Sharon. Lucy's downward spiral. A shadow of her former self, Lucy, too, has been consumed by the darkness of revenge. Once a voice of reason, she has now become just as lost as Daniel. She refuses to see Sharon as anything other than a monster. She twists reality to fit her own rage, ignoring the overwhelming evidence that Sharon was another pawn in Ian Ward's sick game. She, like Daniel, cannot let go of the belief that Sharon is the true villain. She had the thought, Daniel, Lucy whispers, her voice shaking with bitterness. She might as well have done it. It is this inability to separate intent from action that seals Lucy's fate. She and Daniel have become too obsessed with their personal war to recognize that their enemy was never Sharon, it was Ian Ward and Jordan all along. Sharon, a victim, not a villain for Sharon, the ordeal is far from over. She may have been exonerated legally, but in the eyes of Daniel and Lucy, she is still guilty. Worse, her mental state has deteriorated beyond repair. She is plagued by hallucinations. She sees shadows in every corner, hears whispers from ghosts of the past. She cannot trust her own memory. Even though she has been proven innocent, the doubt lingers: what if she really did want to kill Heather? What if she almost did? She is completely alone. No matter what happens, no matter how many times the truth is revealed, there will always be people who believe she is a murderer. And that knowledge is destroying her from the inside out. A city divided, what happens next? With the truth finally out, the city is split in two. Some rally behind Sharon, acknowledging that she was just as much a victim as Heather. They believe she deserves help, not punishment. Others side with Daniel and Lucy, unable to let go of their personal hatred. To them, Sharon's thoughts alone are enough to condemn her. But one question remains: will Daniel and Lucy finally see reason, or will they go too far in their quest for justice? Sharon has already suffered enough. She has already lost her mind, her peace, and her place in society. If Daniel continues down this road, if he lets his thirst for revenge consume him completely, he may lose himself in the process. And the irony of it all? The real threat still lurks in the shadows. Ian Ward is still out there. Jordan's influence has yet to be erased. The true enemies are waiting, watching. And if Daniel and Lucy don't stop this self-destructive path, they may not live long enough to see real justice served.